Let us not pretend otherwise. You have watched doors slam in your face. You have felt the deep ache of empty pockets, the sting of betrayal, and the quiet despair of watching a big dream slip through your fingers like water. You have looked up at the sky in the dead of night and asked, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this?" I will not lie to you. The world can be a brutal teacher. The pain you are carrying is heavy, and it is entirely real. When your plans collapse, it feels like a punishment. It feels like the universe has turned its back on you, leaving you to wander in the dark. You try to force the pieces back together, but the edges no longer fit. But I want you to listen to me very closely. Nothing happens by accident. The storm that tore down your house was not meant to bury you. It was meant to clear the land. Everything happens for a reason. You just do not have the eyes to see it yet. Today we are going to quiet the noise. We are going to look deeply into the wisdom of those who walked this earth long before us, who understood that not every closed door is a curse. Sometimes it is the greatest protection you will ever receive. Imagine a young traveler, much like you. He had spent years building a merchant cart, investing every coin, every drop of sweat, into a cargo of rare silks. This was his future. This was his escape from the mud. But one night, as he crossed a narrow mountain pass, a sudden, violent storm struck. The earth gave way. His cart, his silks, and his entire future swept over the edge into the raging river below. He was left with nothing but the soaked clothes on his back. Devastated, angry at the world, he dragged himself to a small Buddhist temple at the peak of the mountain. He collapsed at the feet of an old monk, weeping with rage. "I did everything right," the young man cried out. "I worked hard. I was honest. And yet, the universe took everything from me. There is no justice. There is only blind, cruel chaos." The old monk did not speak right away. He simply poured the trembling man a cup of hot tea and waited for the storm in the young man's heart to settle. When the tears finally stopped, the monk stood in motion for the young man to follow him. He led him to the back of the temple, into a small, dimly lit room where a massive weaving loom stood. Hanging from the loom was the back of a large tapestry. It was an ugly, chaotic mess. Knots were tied haphazardly. Loose threads of dark gray, aggressive red, and muddy brown tangled together in a nonsensical web. There was no pattern, no beauty, just a violent clash of strings. "Tell me what you see," the monk said softly. "I see a mess," the young man replied, his voice bitter. "I see knots and tangled threads. It makes no sense." The monk smiled gently. "This is how you are looking at your life. You are staring at the back of the tapestry." The monk then walked to the front of the loom and pulled the heavy frame around. The young man gasped. On the other side, those same chaotic dark threads wove together to form a breathtaking landscape. The dark grays formed the deep shadows of a majestic mountain. The aggressive reds were the brilliant petals of a blooming lotus. The messy knots were the anchors that held the entire masterpiece together. Without the dark threads, the light threads would have no depth. Without the tight, painful knots, the picture would fall apart. "You are standing too close to the loom," the monk whispered. "You see the loss of your cart as a violent knot in your life, but you do not yet see the picture the universe is weaving. Had you crossed that mountain pass 10 minutes later, you would have been swept into the river with your silks. The storm did not rob you. It saved you." We spend so much of our lives fighting the loom. We cling to our desires with a white-knuckled grip. We think we know exactly what we need, when we need it. And when the universe says no, we shatter. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound truth of impermanence. Nothing stays. Not the joy, not the sorrow, not the youth, and certainly not the plans we make. To resist this is to invite suffering. To accept it is to find absolute freedom. When you lose a job, when a relationship ends, when an opportunity vanishes into thin air, it is entirely natural to grieve. Let the tears fall, but do not unpack your bags and live in that grief. Understand the law of karma. Karma is not a ledger of punishments and rewards managed by a vengeful sky god. It is simply the soil and the seed. Every action, every intention is a seed planted. If you are planting seeds of kindness, resilience, and hard work, a harvest will come. But you do not get to choose the season, and you do not get to dictate the shape of the fruit. Sometimes a setback is the universe stepping in to say, "Not this way. This path leads to a cliff." Sometimes rejection is supreme redirection. You cannot see the masterpiece because you are still living inside the knots. But the threads are being pulled. The pattern is forming. Your patience is the quiet trust that the weaver knows what they are doing. Take a breath with me, right now. Inhale the uncertainty. Exhale the need to control. Look back at your life. Think of the things you cried over 5-10 years ago. The closed doors that broke your heart. Can you see now how those very rejections guided you to where you needed to be? How the worst thing that happened to you eventually gave you the strength, the empathy, or the perspective to survive. Your current struggle is no different. The mud you are standing in right now is the very soil from which your lotus will grow. Do not rush the blooming. Be thankful for the rain, even when it is cold. Keep your faith strong, not because life is easy, but because life is purposeful. Let go of the heavy bags you are dragging. Trust the timing of your life. Everything happens for a reason. And one day you will stand at the front of the tapestry, look at the intricate, beautiful design of your life, and finally understand. If this story brought a moment of stillness to your heart, please share it with someone who is currently walking through the dark. Hit the subscribe button to keep exploring the deep wisdom of this life with us. Until next time, walk gently, breathe deeply, and trust the weave of your own beautiful tapestry.